First up, we'll have Christopher Robinson, a men's football student-athlete from Division I, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Then, we'll hear from Yvette Alcantar-Herrera, women's track and field and cross-country student-athlete at Division I, University of the Incarnate Word. Next, we'll hear from Sufyan Sarguro, men's track and field and cross-country student-athlete from Division II, Adelphi University. Finally, we'll hear from Natalie Cho, women's basketball student-athlete from Division I, University of California, Los Angeles. And now I'll turn it over to Chris.
Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Robinson, and I am more than a football student-athlete. I'm a graduate student at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, but I'm also a legacy student here at UAPB, meaning I've had family members before me who attended and graduated from here. I graduated in May 2020 with my undergraduate degree in political science, and I'm currently working on my master's in sports programming / athletic leadership. I know living in today's world, you have many challenges. That's why it's so important to have some kind of foundation to help you get through the day-to-day. I use the 3 F's: faith, family, and focus. Faith. Growing up, I was in church every Sunday. I was even the usher. I didn't ask questions. That's just what my family did. About the 8th grade, I was introduced to FCA, or Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I immediately fell in love with the ministry. FCA focuses on the student athlete. So your mentors are all former athletes and have been in your shoes, going through the same struggles you and I are fighting right now. We as athletes already have good relationships with our teammates, but when you can sit down and have worship with these same teammates, you experience a whole new level of camaraderie. And that's what I most enjoyed. But more importantly, FCA is where I became responsible for my relationship with Christ. Being in FCA, I was comfortable worshiping anywhere, from the classroom to the locker room. There's this town I grew up in, small town, predominantly white. Including myself, we had about 4 black kids in our graduating class. And at times it was pretty tough. So when I signed to play football at UAPB and HBCU, I thought things were going to be cake. But I learned real quick things are different here too. I even had a culture shock. My first semester, I was miserable. I would go to practice, the calf, and then back to my room. I told my parents I wanted to transfer. I'm sorry. They made me feel like I failed. I'm the oldest of 3 kids, and I didn't want my family to see me that way. They told me to give me one more chance, one more semester, and get involved around campus. So I did, and I'm so thankful I did. There's such a warm feeling around campus. Family doesn't have to be blood. Number 3, focus. Number 3, focus. I'm constantly thinking about my future and my goals that I want to achieve. Think about a building. If you want a strong building, you have to have a strong foundation. Right now, if you focus on building that foundation, you'll be one step closer to your goals that you've set for yourself. I'm Chris Robinson, and I use my voice and platform to empower and rise to action. Now you'll hear from Yvette.
Hello, my name is Yvette Alcantar-Herrera, and I'm a current women's cross-country and track and field student-athlete at the University of Incarnate Word. My standouts are the 15-meter and the 800-meter. I'm currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Biology, where I hope to become a physician's assistant. Going back to the very beginning of my life, when my parents met and how they raised me to be who I am today, my parents are from different parts of Mexico, but destiny brought them together only to move to a border town. I was born in El Paso, Texas, but I was raised in Juarez, Chihuahua. I am the youngest of 5 children, and together with my twin sister, we are what everyone calls the accident. My parents were not supposed to have another child, definitely not 2. They're not as young as they wish they were to be having more children. When I was growing up, my parents educated me and raised me with their values and beliefs. Sometimes I do not always agree with them, although I'm proud to say I'm part of their culture and beliefs. During my high school years, my parents decided it was time for us to study in the United States. I entered school in the United States when I went into the 10th grade. The transition was not only hard because it was a new school or new city, but because I did not know any English. I passed from being on top of my class to being the girl that could not respond to simple questions due to the English language barrier. I was expected to answer and write the same way as other students who had spoken English all their lives. I must admit that it was really scary being in this unfamiliar position. On top of this, I was still living in Juarez, which meant that I had to walk to school about 2 hours along with my twin sister. It would take us this long because we had to cross the bridge that connects Mexico to the United States, walk to the bus station, take the bus, and walk even more. This was a challenge when it came to trying to do extracurricular activities like sports. Although growing up I really wanted to do soccer, a sport that according to my dad was a sport direct only for males. One day I told my twin sister I was going to do tryouts for the soccer team in my high school, and she decided to get on board with me. We made junior varsity, but I was determined to do whatever it took, even if it meant I had to wake up at 4 a.m. to get to our morning practice at 6:30 a.m. Everything changed when I was a junior and I ran my first 5K ever due to ROTC. I ran as hard as I could because I thought I could get a ribbon for my uniform, not knowing that it was just a friendly competition. This race changed our lives for the better. My twin sister and I got enrolled in the cross-country and track programs and worked our way up to get to where we are today. In our first year of running, we were involved in a bus accident that took the life of 3 people. This was a very traumatic event for the runners and me who were on the bus. This was the moment where I thought that this was the end of our running career, but we used this to make ourselves better. Even when my family did not agree with us, they have always supported our decisions and demonstrate that everything is possible. I have never met more hardworking people than them. Currently, me and my sister are part of the Division I program at UIW. We were the first ones to get out of El Paso, Texas, to study and compete at the college level, something we never expect to have the opportunity to do given to our past circumstances. Because of my story, I'm part of a nonprofit organization called Cultivating Tomorrow, a college empowering program designed to give high school students the practical tools needed to prepare, plan, and pay for college. And I, Iber Alcantar, I use my voice and platform to empower others to rise to action. Now, we hear from Sufyan.
Hey everyone, I'm Sufyan Sargro, and I'm more than a student athlete at Adelphi University who runs track and cross country. I'm an Indian Muslim who grew up in a small neighborhood in Queens, New York. Growing up in an Indian and Muslim household and learning about my culture and religion has shaped me in becoming the athlete and person I am today. Being a Muslim has taught me to be the best leader I can be and set an example for everyone through your character and to the people around you. I've constantly heard from my parents and the religious leaders all around the world that just focusing on being a kind and welcoming person will get you so far in life, and it's something that you should carry with you no matter where or how successful you get. I've made that one of my core beliefs, as I always focus on making the incoming freshmen feel welcomed and part of a family. I go up to them and say a joke, or even get them to smile, just to make it known that they are welcome and they should be comfortable here. I also keep the same mentality on race day, always wishing my opponents good luck before a race and shake hands with them after. I'm always there for my teammates, making them feel ready to go before the race starts and right after it ends. Another big thing that Islam has taught me that has shaped me as a person is determination and patience. We have a firm belief in destiny in which everything that occurs in our life happens for a reason. During my last 2 years, I've dealt with injuries and setbacks just like any other athlete would. And instead of giving up and feeling bad for myself, I think to myself that it's going to be okay and that there's a bigger plan for me in the future. I've been taught not to ponder over things that didn't happen or that didn't go my way. And instead, I need to go back, be grateful for what I have, and learn how I can improve so I can come back stronger than I was before. Additionally, I'm taught to be patient and grateful for the things I do have and am able to do. A big part of this is taught during the month of Ramadan. In this month, Muslims from all around the world don't eat from sunrise to sundown in hopes of strengthening ourselves spiritually and mentally. This is a time when we reflect on everything we're given to us throughout the year and how grateful we should be to have it. You know, there's so many people around the world who just don't have as much as we do. This past Ramadan, there are many families in Palestine who didn't have homes, food, and clothes. But we were here complaining about things that we do have. And so we keep them in mind during the month as well as everyone else in need and give back to them constantly. As an athlete, training during this month made me a mentally stronger athlete. I had to go about my day normally, and at 10 o'clock at night, I had to get my workouts in on the track and get my run-ins alone. But instead of seeing this as a hard task, I saw it as an opportunity to grow. It made me realize how grateful I am to have a team throughout the year, and it made me love them even more. It has also taught me that life is going to keep throwing curveballs at me, and it's up to me to be able to adjust to them and keep pushing. As an Indian growing up, I was so grateful to have parents who supported me as an athlete. When competing, I never really saw many Indians or brown people around me, and a part of that is because of the mentality that many other parents have. I have friends who love sports but don't compete because their parents think that's a waste of time, and they should focus on school instead. But in sports, you'll learn so much more than you could in anywhere else. And I want to be an inspiration to those kids and their parents to play the sport that they love and let the kids play the sport as well. Another big thing I hear in my community is that you're skinny and brown. You can't do well. How are you going to compete with everyone else out there? But being just a skinny Indian kid from Queens, I still push myself to the highest level no matter what. I want to show others that no matter who you are, what race, where you're from, you can do it. I want to inspire kids through my actions and voice to keep driving to be the best person and athlete they can be. And I, Sufyan Sargaro, use my voice and platform to empower others to rise to action. We will now hear from Natalie.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Cho, and I am more than just a student athlete on the UCLA women's basketball team. I have many identities that make up who I am, each as special and important as the next. I am a student, I am an athlete, I am a Christian, I am Chinese American, and I am a role model. These are just a few of the many identities that define who I am. I am a student. I am currently getting my master's degree in the School of Education in Transformative Coaching and Leadership. In my undergrad, I received a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. In my culture, education comes first. School and studies were always emphasized in my household growing up. My sister always told me, even though I was and am pursuing a career in sports, I need to have a backup plan. When the basketball finally goes flat, what will be my next plan? Getting a degree from the #1 public university in the country while playing at the highest level as a Division I athlete is the best of both worlds. I am an athlete. I started playing basketball when I was 5 years old. The game was introduced to me by my mother, who played professionally in Beijing, China. I live and breathe basketball. I love playing it, watching it, teaching it, and learning about it. The game has opened up so many opportunities and experiences that I would have never had if it wasn't for basketball. It has introduced me to so many different people, from my best childhood friends to my role models and mentors that walk alongside me in every stage of my life. I've traveled all over the world playing the game and representing my country, and I've learned so many life lessons that I will take forever, such as leadership, teamwork, and grit. I am a Christian. This is the most important identity to me personally. Who I am in Christ is the most vital characteristic in my life. Everything that I do is dictated on my faith and my relationship with God. I know my value comes from who I am, a child of God, and never from what I do. My hope and faith is in the Lord, and I know that whatever I do or wherever I end up, it's all for the glory and praise of God. I am Chinese American. This is the identity that stands out the most when I'm on the court. The Chinese culture emphasizes honor and tradition, two things that I hold very close to my heart. I want to bring honor to my family and make them proud, and I do everything for them and always want to represent them well. My family are my biggest fans and my #1 supporters. And I use my voice and platform as a student athlete to inspire young boys and girls who look like me and come from the same background as me. Right now, there are less than 1% of Asian American women playing in Division I basketball. By paving a path through sports and defying stereotypes that society labels me with, I want to inspire young people to step out of the status quo and dream whatever dream they want. Representation is so important. Whether that be on the court, on screen, or in office, being able to see someone who looks like you and comes from where you come from is so important. It paves the way for others to follow and believe in themselves. I'm using my platform as a Division I UCLA student athlete to spread awareness about the racism and discrimination that the Asian American community is currently facing. Back when quarantine first started, March of 2020, government officials began using harmful rhetoric such as Chinese virus and Kung flu to refer to COVID-19. This put my community in a dangerous position as xenophobia and hate increased around the country and ultimately the world. At the time, I didn't see many people speaking up about the racism Asian Americans were dealing with, just a handful of Asian celebrities and activists. So I decided to compose a tweet that addressed the situation and my own experience. I knew and know that I'm blessed with the platform that I have as a student athlete at UCLA to reach different communities and wanted to use it for good, for change. I tweeted about how I was feeling about the climate of the world regarding this topic. My post soon picked up wind, and I had outlets such as ESPN and the LA Times requesting to speak to me. I wanted to get the message out and to build awareness of what was happening in my community, for people to understand and empathize with what other groups were going through. And this fight continues on today. Racism and hate crimes against Asian Americans are an all-time high in this country and continue to rise. And I'm dedicated to spreading awareness and putting an end to this ignorance. And I use my voice and platform to empower others to rise to action. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you all for your authenticity, candor, and vulnerability in sharing your stories with us today. You are all more than student athletes. You are children, you are siblings, you are people of faith, and you are advocates. Ultimately, you are change agents within your communities and beyond. Now we will transition to a panel to learn more about all of you, moderated by my amazing colleague, Director of Inclusion, Nia Blair Hackworth.
Thank you, Abigail, and thank you to our student athletes. Your stories are incredible, and I can continue to listen to them each and every day. So thank you for sharing. By hearing how your multiple identities intersect highlights that our student athletes' experiences and values go beyond your sport. So let's get to know you a little bit more. Chris, you shared about your experience attending a historically Black college and university, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So I'm from Arkansas, so go UAPB. And at first you said you didn't necessarily feel connected to the campus community because of your past experience attending predominantly white institutions. However, now you say you don't want to leave because you feel like you belong and the culture and the environment has been very supportive. So my question to all of you, and we'll start with Chris first, what does belonging look like and feel like for you? So Chris, what does that belonging look like for you?
So in the cafeteria, there are the lunch ladies. When they greet you at the door, they'll give you a big old smile and say, "Hey Chris, welcome. How's today going?" And so it's really good. And then if the ones that I have the better relationships with, they'll say, "Chris, I got you some extra chocolate chip cookies. They just came out." And that right there is that is home to me. That is the belonging feeling that I was looking for my first semester. And like I said, I got out and I went to go look for it and I found it. So that's what the belonging looks like and feels like to me personally.
That's great, Chris. That's wonderful. I can't recall during my undergrad or graduate experience where I'd had these different personal connections like that, be it with individuals outside of faculty and some staff who knew me on a personal level. So that's great that you have that there at the University of Arkansas. So Yvette, what does belonging look like and feel like for you?
So belonging for me is a place where I can be myself, be appreciated for who I am and respected. Be able to share my culture and beliefs, a place where I can feel accepted for who I am and where I'm from. So when I got into high school, it was hard for me to feel this way because I didn't know any English. Felt like I was on the side. But once I started getting into extracurricular activities and saw how others tried to communicate with me despite the language barrier, it was when I finally started feeling this way. When I finally started feeling that I belong somewhere.
Thank you. And then I'm going to pose that same question to you, Sufjan, and then to you, Natalie. What does belonging look like, and how do you communicate that to others?
Belonging is being part of a family and feeling welcomed. And a big part of that, and my team especially, I feel like, is being able to talk about each other's traditions, cultures, religion. And I feel like that plays a big role in being part of a family because it gives us an opportunity to accept each other for who we are. Talking about our religions and cultures also makes us feel proud about ourselves and proud of who we are. And that's a big thing that plays a role in being a team as well, because it gives us the opportunity to teach each other as well as learn from each other about the different backgrounds that they are, and it makes us feel more aware about the different backgrounds that we're going to encounter in the future as well.
I feel like I just belong so much at UCLA. Like, I don't want to leave. Next year will be like my 4th year at UCLA, 6th year in college, because I transferred. And then I'm using my COVID year for next year. And all the coaches and like fans are like, why do you want to come back? I'm like, why would I ever want to leave? I'm surrounded by people who love me and who I love. And I just feel like I can be my whole self at UCLA. And also, on the UCLA women's basketball team, we have a saying, it's like, all of you is welcomed here. And I really feel that every single day, especially this past season with the climate of the whole world and the country. My head coach, Coach Corey Close, really was really intentional and took the time for each and every one of us to share our experiences and all our cultures and where we come from and our backgrounds, so we could form deeper bonds and have deeper understanding of each other. And I feel like when you're 100% yourself, then there's nothing more you can ask for.
That's great. You're right. It's wonderful when you're able to be in spaces where you can be 100% yourself. Natalie, I also like the saying that you all have, all of you are welcome here. So when you think back to that first conversation when Chris shared about feeling welcome at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, to you, Sufyan and Yvette, talking about feeling welcome within your team, in your overall campus community, something great, right? And we all want to be in part of environments where we feel welcome and we feel valued. So Sufyan and Natalie, you both shared how you utilize your voice and platforms to rise to action within your communities. Sufyan with your identity as a Muslim observing Ramadan, and Natalie with your identity as a member of the AAPI community and speaking out against xenophobia. So what impact do you believe you've had by speaking up and speaking out? So Natalie, if we can start with you and then end with Sufyan.
Yeah, so for me, my whole message is just to spread awareness to other communities, what my community is going through, and help people empathize and try to understand what people are going through. And for me, I've definitely felt the impact. My teammates, coaches, all the staff always ask me how I'm doing, how my family's doing, and if they could help, and if I have any updates, or if I can help give them some like knowledge or just like information about what I'm going through. And also a couple of weeks ago, I went to an elementary school in Manhattan Beach to accept an award as their 2021 Asian American Hero. And there I was able to talk to 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders about my experience with racism and COVID-19. And they asked me a lot of questions, and I was just so inspired and just so hopeful by, the next generation in elementary school. Their questions were so insightful, and I was just so truly impressed with how much they knew and their awareness of the climate of the world.
In my community, I always go out to the mosque, and that's a place where all the kids gather, and it's where I get to talk to them about our culture and how they should be proud of who we are, and they should use that to go out and be the best person that they can be and inspire others as well. I want to inspire them to keep practicing their religion, keep trying to be a better person, and that will eventually help them in life, and as well as being an athlete. Prior to being religious, I used to hide who I was. I wasn't proud of who I was, and that's something that made me feel lost. But finding my religion definitely helped me becoming a better person, and it definitely helped me become a better leader and a teammate as well. So I want to inspire other Muslims and Indians around my community to do the same.
Thank you for sharing. I'm so glad that your religion was able to help you to find your identity and value and appreciate yourself in a different way. And Natalie, congratulations on that Hero Award. That's awesome. So to all of you, in preparing for today's session, many of you are not used to talking about your identities outside of your connections to athletics, which I understand. So how do we create more supportive environments where student athletes regularly share about their other identities that shape them? So we'll start with Yvette. So how can we create more supportive environments where student athletes like yourself share more about your identities outside of your identity as a student athlete?
By creating more platforms and organizations where the students can use their voice. I like to think that every time that I share my story, I'm helping someone. In a way, I'm telling them that if a girl that comes from a border town could do it, you can too. Thankfully, I have my family, instructors, and coaches that have helped me along the way. And I'm sure, like, if you look for help, you can find that someone that can guide you. Sorry. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Sufjan, what about you? How do we help create more supportive environments where student athletes regularly share about who they are?
I feel like just being able to be comfortable talking about it with the people around you, such as your teammates and your coaches, is a big thing. It should start with people who are older and leaders, I guess, in the team, to be able to talk to the people that are younger about the different type of like culture, religions that they have. And that'll give the ability for them to feel more welcomed and more comfortable with talking about their own cultures and feel more welcomed.
Just to piggyback off what Sufjan said, if you're a leader on your team, you should have safe spaces for your teammates. And if you're not a leader yet, that's something that you should be able to in place when you become a leader, because everyone should be able to open up around their teammates, because you're around them more than anybody else when you're in school. So it's okay to be open. Just create that safe space and be a trustworthy friend / teammate.
I think it definitely starts with the leaders and the coaches at UCLA on the women's team. I think head coach Corey Close and also the rest of the staff did an amazing job creating safe spaces and environments where each and every one of us was able to express ourselves. The women's team, we're really diverse. We have representation from the Black, Asian, Jewish communities, and just to name a few. And so we were able to all just have presentations and share our experiences with one another throughout the season.
Sharing your experiences goes a long way and can really make a lasting impact, not only for us directly, but for those around us, and really change cultures. And so kudos to you all for using your voice and platforms to do that. When you all shared earlier, two themes that emerged from your stories are faith and perseverance. So how have you applied those values of perseverance and faith as a student athlete? We'll start with Natalie and then Yvette.
Yeah, so like I said before, my faith is just a huge identity and part of who I am. I think I've been really blessed by the grace of God with where I am today and everything that I'm able to do, my abilities, and perseverance. I think that was really instilled in me as when I was younger by my family, especially my mom. Growing up, she always told my sister and I, her favorite saying was like, nothing comes easy, nothing comes free. You have to work hard for everything you get. And especially from a Chinese immigrant like my mother, she really exemplifies that saying. And my sister and I really take that to heart. And in everything that we do, we know it takes hard work and perseverance.
Use my voice and platform to rise to action. With my community, I'm part of a nonprofit organization called Cultivating Tomorrow, where students like me share their experience to motivate high schoolers to go to college, particularly those who are from El Paso. So when I moved to the United States, I had the idea that the only option was to attend to a community college, and then from there, go to the local university that's here. And then someone out of nowhere told me like, hey, there's more options. So that's why I'm part of this organization, because most people doesn't know that there's more out there.
That's great, Yvette. And you are just the example of taking that more and going to the next level. When you think about other aspects of your story that you share with, playing your sport and learning English, in the 10th or 11th grade, that's awesome. So same question now to Chris, you, and Sufjan. So how have you applied the values of perseverance and faith as a student athlete?
So, as a student athlete, you're going to face adversity, and you just got to figure out what you're going to do with it. How are you going to deal with the adversity? Because it's coming. And I fell back on my faith and family. My faith has been with me my whole life, and my family has as well. And they are my moral compass, because there's at times I wanted to quit. There's at times I just like, why am I doing this? But just holding on to my relationship with God is just what brought me through and saved me, actually, honestly.
My religion is being kind and being welcoming to others, no matter who they are, no matter what race, whatever. Always be kind and welcoming. A big saying I heard in my religion is, if you are not being successful in life, look at how you are treating others around you. So that just shows that in order to be successful and to go far in life, you need to be welcoming and kind to others no matter what. And I've taken that belief into my life in athletics. I'm always like that with my teammates, with the opponents, coaches, everyone, no matter what. And that's something I lived by for a long time.
Thank you. Well, you all, you're so good at what you do and how you're sharing stuff. Like, time is just flying by really quickly. So we're now to the last question. So who are those individuals that motivate and inspire you to speak up for yourself and others? So we'll start with Yvette and then Chris. But who are those individuals that motivate and inspire you to speak up for yourself and others?
It has always been my family. Definitely my twin sister has always been next to me. It's like my angel telling me, hey, go up there. You can do it. Like every time before every race, she has been telling me like, good luck, you can do it. Like these positive words that just help. And also my teammates, like I have created a bond with them that no matter what, I know that if I look at my back or I look at my side, they're going to be right next to me.
I would have to say Martin Luther King Jr. Just seeing things that all the things he had to go through, his family constantly being threatened, he at the end getting killed, but yet he stayed consistent. And another person I have to say is President Barack Obama. As our president, he's probably had the most unique childhood growing up, but at the end of the day, he stayed persistent. And he kept fighting and didn't let anything change his mindset.
So Natalie, I didn't even give you a chance to answer the question on perseverance and faith, so I apologize. So again, how have you applied those values of perseverance and faith as a student athlete?
Yeah, so for me, just really putting my identity in Christ first in everything that I do, on the court, in the classroom, and everything that I do, and just being the feet for the Lord on this earth. In basketball, it can get really hard. The season is just up and down, and just being able to really rely and knowing that my identity is in Christ and not how many points I score or how great I play in a game. That doesn't really matter. It's who I am in Christ and my relationship with Him. And also perseverance. Yeah, perseverance is a characteristic that my mother really instilled in my sister and I. When things get tough, you can always rely on who you are and your consistency and your perseverance. So, yeah, that's for me.
Thank you, Natalie, for sharing. Sufjan, we're at the last question, and we'll kick it to you and then to Natalie. So just a reminder, that question is, who are those individuals that motivate and inspire you to speak up for yourself and others?
Growing up, I didn't really see many professional Indian athletes around me. So basically the main people who inspired me were the ones that were directly around me. So like my parents, for example. Growing up, actually before, when they came to America just like any other immigrant would, just to give me a better life. And they struggled a lot, just being here, leaving everyone, leaving their family, leaving everything they had behind just to give me a better life. My dad when he first came to America, he used to work from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every single day for 7 days a week, just mopping a store. And at one point he finally became successful, but then right after that he lost everything again. And not once did he complain. He always kept pushing no matter what, trying to make us happy, trying to give us the best life possible. And I always do everything that I do for him. I want to make him proud, and I learned from him a lot to be perseverant no matter what, be determined whatever you do no matter what. And that's helped me a lot throughout my life in both athletics, school, being a person, everything. And another person that's inspired me a lot is my uncle, who recently passed away, and he used to be always involved in sports no matter what. In India, it's always scorching hot during the month of Ramadan, and he always used to play sports no matter what. He always used to go out and always used to just compete in sports to the highest level. And that inspired me a lot because he always used to tell my parents that you should let him play sports no matter what. And I feel like that's a big part of the reason why my parents are not like other Indian parents, in which they don't allow their kids to play. So I feel like he played a really big role in me becoming the person I am today. And I really thank him a lot for that. And I'm going to use those values that I learned from my parents, my uncle, just to keep inspiring others around the world as well. Inspire other Indian Muslim kids to play the sports that they love no matter what. Be proud of the person that they are, because it's going to help them in life and become a successful person.
Thank you, Sufyan, and we're definitely sorry for your loss. Your uncle's spirit, we know, resides within you. So, Natalie, we're going to conclude the last question again with you to tell us who motivates and inspires you to speak up for yourself and others.
For me, again, on the UCLA basketball team, before every season, our coaches have us really think about what our why is. Why do we get up every morning to practice and grind throughout the whole season? And when things do get hard, why are we doing it? And my why is a picture of my younger self, my mother, and also my sister. And so that's my inspiration to keep working and grinding. It's for my younger self and for her to have that role model that I wish I had growing up. And also, like I said before, for that next generation, that new generation, the younger generation who are just so bright and just so aware already with what's going on in the world, and just creating a path for them, an easier path for them to pursue their dreams and to create change.
Thank you, Natalie. Thanks to all of you panelists. You all are role modeling, even today, by being on this panel, to showing that the value and the importance of sharing your story. So thank you for inspiring us and for just being you, because you are enough. And hearing from you all highlights the importance of elevating the student-athlete voice as one approach to creating and maintaining an inclusive environment.